Have you ever heard a story so terrifying, so bone-chillingly real, that it stays with you long after you've heard it? Today, we re-diving deep into one of the most famous and controversial haunting cases in American history, the Amityville Horror. Is it a true story of a family terrorized by demonic forces, or one of the most elaborate hoaxes ever conceived? Let's find out. Our story begins not with a haunting, but with a horrific crime. On a cold November night in 1974 at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, a young man named Ronald DeFeo Jr. took a high-powered rifle and systematically murdered his entire family, his parents, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters, all while they slept in their beds. The crime scene was baffling to investigators. There were no signs of a struggle, and neighbors reported hearing nothing, not even the gunshots. DeFeo Jr. initially claimed he found his family dead, but his story quickly unraveled. He eventually confessed, simply stating, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop." He was convicted of 6 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. The motive? It remains a subject of debate to this day. Some say it was a dispute over money. Others point to years of abuse. But DeFeo himself would later offer a more sinister explanation. Voices in the house told him to do it. And with that, the dark legend of the Amityville house was born. Just over a year later, in December 1975, the Lutz family, George, Kathy, and their 3 children moved into the very same house. They bought it for a bargain price, fully aware of its grim history, but they believed they could make it their dream home. They even had a priest come to bless the house before they moved in. This is where the story takes a terrifying turn. According to the priest, as he sprinkled holy water in one of the upstairs bedrooms, he heard a booming, disembodied voice command him to get out. He reportedly became physically ill and warned the Lutzes to stay away from that particular room. The family, however, moved in anyway. Their dream would last just 28 days. From the very first day, strange and inexplicable events began to plague the family. They reported swarms of flies appearing in the dead of winter, strange odors of perfume and excrement that would come and go, and cold spots that moved throughout the house. George Lutz started waking up every morning at 3:15 a.m., the estimated time of the DeFeo murders, feeling inexplicably cold and agitated. He became withdrawn and obsessed with the fireplace, spending hours stoking the flames. Kathy Lutz began having vivid nightmares about the murders, and even claimed to levitate in her sleep. Their youngest daughter, Missy, developed an imaginary friend named Jody, a pig-like creature with glowing red eyes, who she said lived in the house. Jody would allegedly leave large hoof prints in the snow outside. The paranormal activity escalated dramatically. Doors would slam shut on their own, crucifixes would turn upside down, and a green, slime-like substance would ooze from the walls and keyholes. George claimed to see his wife transform into an old woman of 90, and he would catch glimpses of a demonic, hooded figure in the house. He also discovered a hidden, small room in the basement, painted entirely red. Their dog reportedly cowered in fear of this room, refusing to go near it. The family's personalities changed. They became irritable, constantly sick, and financially drained. The final night was the climax of their ordeal. The family described being terrorized by unseen forces, with loud banging sounds that seemed to march through the house, furniture moving on its own, and a feeling of overwhelming dread. After just 28 days, they grabbed only a few belongings and fled in the middle of the night, never to return. Their story became an instant media sensation. Jay Anson's book, The Amityville Horror, became a bestseller, followed by a blockbuster movie in 1979 that terrified audiences worldwide. The story captured the public's imagination, becoming the definitive haunted house tale. The Lutzes even took a lie detector test, which they passed, seemingly validating their terrifying claims. Paranormal investigators, including the famous Ed and Lorraine Warren, visited the house. They conducted a seance and claimed to have felt a demonic presence. One of their most famous photographs, allegedly captured during this investigation, shows what appears to be a small boy with glowing eyes peeking out from a doorway. Many believe this is the spirit of one of the murdered DeFeo children. But almost as soon as the story went public, so did the skepticism. Critics and investigators began to pick apart the Lutz's story, pointing out inconsistencies and a lack of physical evidence. The priest who blessed the house, for example, later downplayed his experience, stating he only felt a slap and heard a voice, but nothing as dramatic as reported in the book. There were no records of police being called to the house during the 28 days, despite the Lutz's claims of extreme paranormal events. The Red Room in the basement? The family who owned the house before the DeFeos stated it was simply a small storage space under the stairs. The hoof prints in the snow? There was no record of snowfall in Amityville during that period. The biggest blow to the story's credibility came from Ronald DeFeo's own lawyer, William Weber. He came forward and claimed that he, along with the Lutzes, created this horror story over many bottles of wine. According to Weber, the plan was to fabricate a story about demonic possession to help with a new trial for DeFeo, and for the Lutzes to profit from the book and movie rights. He called it a well-orchestrated hoax. George and Kathy Lutz vehemently denied this. SUI and G. Weber for invasion of privacy and maintaining that their experience was 100% real. They argued that the trauma was so profound they couldn't have possibly made it up. So where does the truth lie? On one hand, you have a family who fled their home with nothing but the clothes on their backs, who passed lie detector tests, and whose story has been corroborated, at least in part, by paranormal investigators. Their fear seemed genuine. Could a family really maintain such a detailed and terrifying lie for decades, even on their deathbeds? On the other hand, you have a mountain of inconsistencies, a complete lack of verifiable physical evidence, and a key figure claiming it was all a pre-planned hoax for financial gain. The allure of fame and fortune can be a powerful motivator. Subsequent owners of 112 Ocean Avenue have reported no paranormal activity whatsoever. The house has been lived in peacefully for decades since the Lutzes fled. Perhaps the truth is somewhere in the middle. Could the Lutzes, already on edge from living in a murder house, have misinterpreted normal occurrences and let their imaginations run wild? The power of suggestion is incredibly strong. Maybe a few strange events, combined with the house's gruesome history and the psychological stress of their financial situation, snowballed into a full-blown paranormal panic. Or could it be that the demonic entity that plagued the Lutzes simply left with them, or became dormant after they fled? The Amityville Horror remains one of the most polarizing paranormal cases in history. It forces us to question the line between reality and fabrication, belief and skepticism. Was 112 Ocean Avenue a gateway to hell? Or was it just a house where a terrible tragedy occurred, later exploited for profit? What do you think? Was it a real haunting or a grand deception? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the Amityville mystery. If you enjoyed this video and want more content on mysterious and unexplained phenomena, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.